Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you guys a tutorial on this deep French pink and white full set, and I'm going to show you guys step by step on how I do my tutorials from here on out. Sorry I'm out of breath. I just came from walking my dog and he is driving me crazy, but I'm going to go over the nail bed with a fine sanding band, and I used to use medium sanding bands, but I felt like that was too rough on the natural nail. So if you're using anything higher than a fine sanding band, then make sure your drill is super low. But I think the fine sanding band works perfectly. So I'm gonna go over with it on all 10 nails, and this is just so that way you won't get any lifting when you apply your acrylic. Okay, so now I'm going to apply my tips, and I just measure the tips side by side. You want to make sure your tips aren't too small, because trust me, you'll see that once your acrylic is on and once you get to filing, it's just a hot mess if your tips are super small for the nail bed. So you want to make sure it lines up from side to side. And I am using these tips from Not Polish. They are the bomb, literally. I use them for just about any set that I want to be coffin or stiletto. Sometimes it works with taper square depending on how long the nails are. It can work for a taper square if your client wants them short to medium. Anything longer than that is going to turn into coffin. But I pretty much use these tips for everything, as you can see in my videos, unless it's like a taper square look. So if you want to get these tips, I have a coupon code that you can use so that you can get money off of these tips or your purchase if you find anything else on there that you like. So I'm just going to apply these tips on all 10 nails, of course, and then you just want to make sure that it's on there good. This glue is super bomb, and I got this from my local nail supply, and you just literally need a drop of it, and then you add the tips, and then it spreads. So that's why I love this glue. Rather than any other glue that I've used, I had to put it around the tip or around the whole nail. So I'm going to cut my tips to the desired length that my client wants them. She was going for a medium look, medium to long, not too long. So I'm going to cut the tips and then align them side by side with her other hand, just to make sure that the tips the tips are even on both hands. Oh my gosh, sorry guys if you guys hear my dog. He's in the crate right now because he pottied on my floor, so I'm gonna leave him in there for 30 minutes. But if you guys hear scraping, that's my dog. Sorry in advance. So I'm going to end up filing her nails to a coffin shape, and I'm pretty much just going side by side in an angle of a V, and I don't file too much because I don't want a skinny coffin. Most of my sets aren't skinny coffins. They're like a coffin to square look, unless my client tells me she wants like a skinny coffin. But usually I don't file too much into like a super like skinny coffin. I like my coffins square to coffin, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but you guys get what I'm saying. So again, you want to file it side by side into like a V almost, just so you can get like that perfect coffin shape. All right, so here I'm just gonna go in with my fine sanding band to smooth out the tips, so that way it can have like that smooth look when I apply my acrylic. Most people don't do this step and it still looks good, but for me, when I skip this step, you can see like the tips on the side of the nail. So that's why I always do this process, so that way my application can look like, you know, a bomb. Because if I miss this step, you're gonna see on the side, for me personally. So this is why I do this step, and so that way it's not like bumpy, and like my acrylic process is like super quick and smooth. So if you don't want to do this process to kill time, then go for it. But for me personally, I like to do this step so that way my application can look super smooth and clean. All right, so next to the fun part, you want to first make sure you dust off all the dust off the nail, so that way you won't get any lifting. But here I'm just going to take a small bead and apply it to the cuticle area and like drag it down. You don't want to like drag it to the side, you just want to drag it like in a straight line. And you want to make sure your brush isn't super wet but isn't super dry, so that way if it's wet, it's not like running to the side, and if it's dry, it's not like sticking to like one spot. You want to make sure you're able to move it. So as you're doing that, you want to, you know, clean out the corners, so that way the white can like show as a deep French. And then you want to like carve it and get it to the desired length. If she wants the nail bed to look longer, then you can do that. If she wants it to look shorter, then you can do that too. Just make sure your bead is like at the right consistency. So again, I'm doing that to all of the nails, and I'm literally just like controlling it with my brush, and I'm angling her finger down so that way the acrylic can like run down as like I'm carving it. I don't know if any of this makes sense, but I'm more of like I do better with like looking, as like some people, they like to like hear you and like see at the same time. I'm better at like just looking. I hate talking. That's why my voiceovers are like non-existent, but I'm trying to get better with it. So again, I'm just like applying, you know, some places that would need acrylic. For this process, you don't need much acrylic. I start with a little bit of acrylic, so that way my drilling process isn't like super long. This set typically takes me about an hour 30, an hour 45, depending on how long. So yeah, it shouldn't take me this long, but I'm like super picky. So that, I think that's why most of my sets take long. So again, you want to make sure it's carved. You want to make sure also, people have a problem with not leaving a space between the corners, the edges. If you can see, I leave a space so that way the white can show when I do the deep French. So next I'm going to go in with my hand file, and I'm just going to file side by side so that way the acrylic is crisp and sharp, so that way when I start drilling, you get that perfect like deep French. Literally, if you skip this process, it's either because one, you're like perfect with your acrylic application and you don't need to shape, or two, you just don't know this process. But this process is like super important, so that way you get that crisp smile line. So don't forget this process ever. This is gonna make your deep French, I can guarantee you that. So I'm just gonna go side by side so that way I can get that perfect smile line. All right, so next is the last step, the process, and this is my least favorite part. It's super tedious, but I typically just start at the bottom and then work my way up. And you just want to make sure you clean the sides so that way the acrylic isn't sticking to the skin. And I try to keep this step super clean so that way I won't have too much drilling going on. So I'm just gonna clean it up. It's not gonna look perfect. I normally scare a lot of people with this process, but once you start drilling, you'll see how good it looks. All right, so next is my favorite part, getting the nail back in shape. And I'm just going to go side by side into a V shape, so that way I can get that perfect coffin. And you want to make sure your hand file is like straight. You don't want to curve it in, you just want to make sure it's straight so you can get that crisp look. All right, so next I'm going to go over with my fine drill bit. I got this drill bit from Not Polished. It's super old. Oh gosh, I need a new drill bit, but this actually still works perfectly fine. It's actually still on their website, so if you again need a coupon code, it's on there. I actually got the set, but they do sell them in singles. But out of the set, I only use 2 drill bits. It's their coarse drill bit, which is used for drilling the acrylic down so you can do another full set. But this drill bit works perfectly fine. I am using a fine one because your girl has butterfingers, and if I was to use any other drill bit, then I would be cutting my clients. But this is perfectly fine. I typically don't cut my clients with this drill bit, so it's amazing. So again, if you do need a coupon code for the Not Polished website, then my coupon code will be D as in dog, EE. And then I pretty much just look side by side to see if there's any lumps, and if there is, I just go over with my drill bit, go around the cuticle just in case I missed any, acrylic that could have possibly been on the skin. And this is just so that way I won't get any lifting and that my application is like super smooth. Okay, so the next step is to buff. Most people don't buff, but I like to buff because it gives me like that super smooth application once I apply my top coat. But yeah, just buff out the nail so that way any specks or acrylic that may have been left over, I typically just go over with my buffer. And then after I buff, I like to go with my hand file again just to get that crisp application after I buff the nail. So this step I actually missed. I thought I recorded, my bad. But you just have to get some foil glue, let the foil glue dry. If it's still white, then that means it's not dry. You want to make sure it turns clear, and then you want to apply your foil, whatever foil you decide to use. So just make sure. A lot of people have a problem with this step because they're not letting the glue dry. So you want to make sure once you apply the glue, if it's still white, that means it's not dry. If it's clear, that means it's dry, and then you can apply your foil. So I'm going over the nail with a gel top coat, and then this step is finished. So I thank you guys so much for watching this video. I don't know if you guys learned anything from this voiceover, but I hope you did. If you guys want me to do more voiceovers, let me know. I'll try. But thank you guys so much again for all the love, all the support, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. All right, just kidding, I forgot this step. So I'm going over with a cuticle oil just to hydrate the cuticles. And if you guys need a coupon code for this cuticle oil that I got from Madam Glam, it's going to be listed in the description box. It's super amazing. I'm running out and I'm like dying right now, so I'm using every last bit. But again, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys in my next video.